Hello and welcome to this episode of Hospitality Talks. And I am thrilled to be joined by John Karemy, who is the marketing lead UK for Tripleseat. John, welcome. I think that we're both dialing in from different countries, so that's an interesting one for us. John, for anyone who doesn't know who you are or who Tripleseat are, do you want to just give us a brief rundown?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Katie. Thrilled to be here. As you mentioned, my name's John. I'm fortunate enough to be the marketing lead here in the UK. For those who may not have heard about Tripleseat, Tripleseat started about 15 years ago in the US. Our founder, who is our current day CEO, Jono, working in the hospitality space, saw a gap in the market for those venues planning and managing events. It was a lot of old school methods, pen and paper. Software was seen as quite cost prohibitive. So Jono devised the idea for Tripleseat. Fast forward to 15 years later, circa 15,000 restaurants and venues on the platform, managing all types and sizes of events, and really excited to be expanding in the UK.
Excellent. And we keep bumping into each other at various industry events. So I know that you're certainly out there looking for how you can help operators. I'm also, of course, aware of the research that you recently conducted with regards to pre-booked corporate events and how you believe that there is, or you can see that there is a high demand for this summer. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So as you mentioned, Katie, we commissioned some research back in May, and it was all about what's the size of the prize for corporate event planners throughout the summer. We seem to be having a bumper summer weather-wise, and we know that with the hybrid nature of work and work patterns being fragmented and people working in and outside the office in different patterns, it was really important for event planners to host events. And that was something that we saw come through in the research. So we commissioned the research and spoke to 500 event planners here in the UK. And it was for us to better understand what the opportunity is for venues and operators, and to help them understand the size of the prize and what the motivating factors are, what they're looking for, what the average spend was, and that told us some really interesting bits and pieces that we put together, and we created an infographic and some blog content to get out there in front of operators to get them to better understand how they can get their venue ready for the influx of corporate events throughout the summer.
And we all love a corporate event. And in fact, during the pandemic, it was certainly one of the things that I missed the most about my job, was that sort of getting out and seeing people and being in venues. So tell me, what are they looking for? What does your research show?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly there around kind of coming out of COVID. The hybrid nature of work has really set in, which means the big motivation for corporate event planners was around bringing the team together and making sure that staff morale and engagement is still maintained and doesn't dip off, and that the teams who are not seeing each other as frequently as they were before COVID had the opportunity to do so. And 30% of those surveys said that having a summer event was extremely important, and circa 60% of those are looking to have between 1 and 2 events. So definitely some momentum around getting the teams together throughout summer.
And I think that the idea of hybrid working, of course, is incredibly important, isn't it? So how did that sort of come out in the research? What was pointed out around that sort of area?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So yeah, again, it was a scattered nature of the workforce. They could be within the same city, but working remotely. They could be across the country, or they could be across different countries, like you and I are today. And summer is kind of seen as that peak period where it's a great time to get people together. And the main venue type that was being sought out was an outdoor space. So touch wood, the great British summer continues. I'm sure you're going to be enjoying a bit of sun over there in France, but hopefully the English summer continues, and those outdoor venues can host the events that are really in demand. And it's all about staff morale, rewarding recognition. So hosting events that are exciting and have a bit of a wow factor, so that in itself is reward and recognition, but also to facilitate forums that recognize the team and what they've achieved coming into the new coming out of the old financial year into the new one.
So we see from the research that the planning is beginning sort of 3 to 4 weeks out. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So of those that we surveyed, circa 40% work in a business or a company with between 5 and 5,000 employees. And in London, the average spend is circa £6,500 per event. And they're looking to book between 1 and 2 of those, at least, with nearly all wanting a food and drink package. So if you look at that in totality, there's a really great opportunity for venues and for operators to make sure that they've got everything up to scratch to be able to cater for that coming into that summer period, because summer hopefully continues through to end of August, early September.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that we do get that. And so how can operators benefit from this? How can they make the most of this demand? Obviously with the hospitality industry is facing headwinds like never before. So this to me seems like a big opportunity, and not just because I like going to a corporate event, but it does seem like a big opportunity. So how can they capitalize on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about the rise of overheads and costs in general. Absolutely, and that's something that we're all seeing in the hospitality space. But I think the best advice is to get back to basics. And if you have a venue and you are well situated, and it's to get to know who's around you. If you've got a catchment area that has corporate offices, get to know those PAs and those event managers and those event planners in those businesses. Maybe you do an incentive to get them to trial. Target them through your professional networks, like LinkedIn or social media. That is something that we see really unlocks those leads, that lead generation from your local area. Also, get your photos of your venue up to scratch. Invest in having really great photos that really highlight the space from different angles, from different perspectives. A fly through of the venue, and celebrate that on social media and amplify it and connect with those local businesses and just get them to know who you are. I know from our local sales team that we have here in London, when they go and speak to prospects and the question is, hey, how do I get more leads? Mm-hmm. The most obvious answer initially is, okay, you're in Hammersmith, for example. You've got the Disney office. You've got L'Oreal. You've got these big corporates. Do you know them? Have you enticed them to come into your venue? And most of the time, we're finding, I hadn't even thought of that. So that is the lowest cost investment in networking and those relationships.
Yeah, of course, and of course, it has the additional bonus of, how many people are coming into the venue, what they're going to be eating, what they're going to be drinking. So, especially if you're talking about these food and drink packages. So there's no waste there. There's no, it helps you to keep the margins high when you know exactly what you're planning for. So sounds like a bit of a no-brainer. I am very, very glad that corporate hospitality and events are back, and I'm even more glad that they're in pubs, bars and restaurants, because that's where obviously we all like to be. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me,
and for explaining exactly what Tripleseat do and that research, which is hugely interesting. Thank you so much.